Order number 13, motion. Report on the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the inquiry into alleged leakage and misuse of official information.
Mover.
Honorable Speaker, I move the following motion: that this House adopts the report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the inquiry into the alleged leakage and misuse of official information, contrary to the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, November 20th, 2019, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 17(3)(b) of the Powers and Privileges Act 2017, resolves to reprimand the Honorable Fatuma Gedi for conducting herself in a manner that, 1, reflects adversely on the dignity and integrity of the National Assembly and its members, and 2, is contrary to the best interest of the National Assembly and its members, into contravention of Section 16(e) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privilege Act 2017. Honorable Speaker,
I think the Honorable Rosa Buyu and the Honorable Masara, you must have the decorum to listen. Then you get a chance to say what you wish to say. But also, even as you do so, I want to invite every member, because I suspect not many of you have read the Powers and Privileges Act 2017, to fully appreciate your powers in a report of this nature, so that, whatever you do from a point of information. Please, apprise yourselves accordingly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that protection. Honorable Speaker, the basis of the inquiry that is in front of us was the leakage of a media letter by the DCI addressed to the clerk of the National Assembly. That is only the matter that we are dealing with. Was this letter leaked or not? And who leaked the letter? Was it supposed to be leaked or not? And our inquiry ended there and does not touch on any other issues pertaining to that matter. Honorable Speaker, the letter in question was given to Honorable Fatuma Gedi by a parliamentary staffer, a fact that this committee was tasked to inquire into and establish whether, contrary to Section 22 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, the honorable member directly or indirectly used information obtained through or in connection with her office as a member of Parliament, and which was not available in the public domain for the furtherance of a private interest. Honorable Speaker, it's also good to appraise members that Section 22 of the Leadership and Integrity Act provides that, and I quote, "A state officer shall not directly or indirectly use or allow any person under the officer's authority to use any information obtained through or in connection with the office which is not available in public domain for the furtherance of any private interest, whether financial or otherwise," end quote. That is what it provides for. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, to this end, the committee held 9 meetings in which the committee had an opportunity to receive submissions from parliamentary staff. The Honorable Fatuma Gedi herself was invited to give evidence, and the Director of Criminal Investigations himself and other officers under him. Honorable Speaker, the question for determination, therefore, by this committee during the inquiry was simply to determine whether Honorable Fatuma did actually misuse official information contrary to the said section. Honorable Speaker, in doing so, we keenly looked at the evidence submitted by all the witnesses who appeared before the committee, including Honorable Fatuma Gedi, and all that information is available in our committee. And we arrived at the following determination: that the member directly used the information obtained through or in connection with her office, as she rightly said that she got the letter from the staffer, and she owned up that fact as a member of parliament, and which was not available in public domain. And also that the conduct of the member of leaking the official letter dated 21st February 2019 by DCI to the office of the clerk reflected adversely on the dignity and integrity of National Assembly and its members, and was also contrary to the best interests of the National Assembly and the members. Honorable Speaker, so consequently, pursuant to Section 22 of the Powers, Leadership and Integrity Act, as read together with Section 16E of the Parliamentary Powers and Privilege, the conduct of the member constituted a breach. And Section 16, Honorable Speaker, provides for the conduct constituting breach, and specifically, it states that 16E, that the National Assembly Committee on Powers and Privilege may find a member in breach of privilege if the member conducts himself or herself in a manner which in the opinion of the committee is intended or is likely to reflect adversely on the dignity or integrity of Parliament or of its members, or to be contrary to the best interests of Parliament and its members. That is what Section 16E provides for, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, based on the observations and findings of the committee, the report hence recommends that the House, pursuant to Section 17(3)(b) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privilege Act 2017, reprimands the Honorable Fatuma Gendi for conducting herself in a manner that reflected adversely on the dignity of the House and its members, and contrary to the best interests of this House and also its members. Honorable Speaker, it's also noteworthy, and I think this is very important. It is also noteworthy that the parliamentary staff in question and the staff who then gave that letter to the honorable member was also disciplined and reprimanded by the Parliamentary Service Commission, as the committee's jurisdiction was only limited to the complaints against members of this House and not the staff. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, without much ado, allow me to thank the members of the committee for participating in the inquiry and ensuring that the case was brought to a conclusion, and hence the report before the House. And with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and ask Honorable Vincent Tuwei to second.
Honorable Tuwei.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to say that the inquiry in question is limited to the leakage and misuse of official information that is contrary to the Leadership and Integrity Act 22 and Powers and Privilege 16E. Mr. Speaker, sir, the matter in question is leakage of information. Whatever we are reading outside there in circulation or media is not the basis of our inquiry. The committee held 15 meetings or sittings in trying to come up with finding out exactly what really happened, and the committee got inside information. For anyone who has read the report, the staffer confirmed and accepted that he gave the letter himself to Mheshimiwa Fadhima Kedi, and of which we found out to be true, and the staff so far confessed and accepted that he is the one who gave out the letter to Mheshimiwa. I do support this report, Mr. Speaker, by saying that if we don't take action, all of us have confidential documents in this parliament that pertains to each and every one of us. If we allow these kind of leakages to go out there, some of us know how dangerous it is. We have rivals out there who might use the information that is confidentially being kept here, Mr. Speaker, sir. We are actually the custodians of all the wealth, all the information pertaining to the wealth of every Kenyan in this country, including the president, under the Powers and Privilege Act. If this information is going to be leaked, not guarded well, Mr. Speaker, sir, we will be opening a very bad Pandora's box, because even our medical records, if anyone leaks any medical records adversely, leak in the same manner that this has been done, Mr. Speaker, sir, this house will be vilified and it will lose its honor and integrity and credibility in the eyes of public, Mr. Speaker, sir. By the powers conferred to it by the Constitution, this house is the custodian of all the confidential documents pertaining to each and every public officer in this country, including the president. And if we don't guard this by protecting it through the provisions of the law and the Powers and Privilege Act, Mr. Speaker, sir, this will go badly, and it will be in record, and it will reflect badly on us and this house. I second, Mr. Speaker.
I propose the question that this House adopts a report of the Committee on Powers and Privileges on the inquiry into the alleged leakage and misuse of official information contrary to the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, November 20th, 2019, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 17, subsection 3, paragraph B of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017, resolves to reprimand the Honorable Fatuma Gedi for conducting herself in a manner that, 1, reflected adversely on the dignity and integrity of the National Assembly and its members, and 2, is contrary to the interests of the National Assembly and its members in contravention of Section 16E of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017. You see, honor members, I did guide that it is fair that all of us familiarize ourselves with the provisions of particularly Section 22 of the Leadership and Integrity Act enacted in 2012, and further the provisions of Section 16, paragraph E of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017. Having familiarized yourself with those two provisions, proceed to understand what the House may do under Section 17 of that Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act. So, and I say that there is the Honorable, let's say who? Apollo who? Abele. Yes?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this report. Mr. Speaker, this report is on the inquiry of alleged leakage and of information contrary to the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012. Mr. Speaker, I actually sit in that committee, and I have actually been going through all the sessions to discuss this report. However, Mr. Speaker, it is good to understand this report from all perspectives. Mr. Speaker, we are told that when you see a dog barking, don't give much attention to the dog. Look for the master. Mr. Speaker, it is true that we are trying to safeguard the integrity of this House and the members. However, we also need to look at the integrity of the member of parliament who is being accused here. That, Mr. Speaker, having gone through the report and having sat in that committee, I'm here to tell this House that Honorable Fatuma Gedi's integrity has also been violated. In the sense that, Mr. Speaker, I don't know if you are abreast of what is happening out there. I don't know if you are in social media. Mr. Speaker, there was a clip, a pornographic clip, which went...
Sorry. I will not allow that particular aspect of this report to be the subject of debate.
But, Mr. Speaker, you see...
Honorable Albele, this committee has already directed the Director of Criminal Investigations to expeditiously complete the investigations relating to that matter. Because that is not a matter this House is seized of. And that's why the two of them must be separated. It doesn't matter what you feel. But you cannot... If you debate that, you are compromising the investigations into that matter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for
and
your
this
guidance.
Committee has already directed the DCI to ensure that that matter is concluded. They must go to the utmost depth.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. You are still continuing, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So proceed, because we want and that's why it is so specific. We have to deal with what is in section 22.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Very well, honorable members, it is important that we must separate. If it is not possible in your mind, please, you don't belong here. If you cannot be able to distinguish issues which are so clear, then it means you are in the wrong place. Because, it must be a point of order, not a point of argument.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise on point of order, order number 95, that the mover of this motion be called upon to reply so that we can vote on this particular motion, Mr. Speaker. Further debate, Mr. Speaker, on this motion, given your directions, Mr. Speaker, which we understand, further debate is made quite complicated because this issue is an issue of chicken and egg. For you to debate this matter, we have to make reference to the matter that you have embargoed, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, rather than continue the debate in a manner that breaches your own direction, Mr. Speaker, I plead that the mover be called upon to reply so that we vote on this matter and wait for the substantive matter when and if it comes before the floor of this House so that we can debate it adequately. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move.
Which matter comes before the House? You are saying before another matter comes, which one?
I said, if it ever does, if it ever comes, the matter that has been embargoed, I know it is not before this House, it is before the DCI. But what we are saying is, it is impossible, Mr. Speaker, to debate this report without touching on the matters that the honorable member is touching on, Mr. Speaker. So I move that the mover be called upon to reply.
Is it still on the Honorable Albele? You are through with what you wanted to, with your contribution?
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity again. But, Mr. Speaker, as I had actually earlier indicated, that there is no way, for heaven's sake, we can deliberate particularly we zero only on the leakage of the confidential material without, because they are interconnected, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the member has actually been humiliated.
The member has
and,
what?
Mr. Speaker, I therefore would like your guidance on how best we need to approach this matter, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
You see, it's surprising that the Honorable Albero is a member of the committee, and he suddenly has a problem understanding this. Member for Kimilili.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to restrict myself on the matter that was before the committee. And I want to bring it to the attention.
Honorable Wanga, you have no capacity to compel me to do what you desire. I have ignored it. Because the report, there are members, there are very many members. Yes. Honorable Wanga, you are not directing me. You know, the Honorable Masara, please appreciate this. If you want to contribute, you press an intervention. When you speak, while sitting there, you are making noise. You are actually causing disorder, for which Standing Order 107 will be applying very soon. Yes, Honorable Barasa.
Honorable Speaker, you know, the Powers and Privileges Committee has the responsibility to determine any matter that is brought before the committee, Honorable Speaker. And whatever this committee was investigating was leakage and misuse of public information, Honorable Speaker. And what I want to tell this House is that we need to ask ourselves three questions. One is to whether we had if the letter from DCI to the Clerk of National Assembly was leaked into the media, Honorable Speaker, and the answer is yes. We also need to ask ourselves a second question. Did the Honorable Fatuma Gedi confirm when she appeared before this committee that indeed she is the one who took that letter from an officer of Parliament? The answer is yes, Honorable Speaker. So what we are doing, Honorable Speaker, is that we must protect the integrity of this House. And to me, Honorable Speaker, protect me. Well, you should protect me from this Gladys Wanga. Why are you making noise? This is Parliament. This is not your house. Honorable Speaker, you should protect me.
Yes, you are protected.
Honorable Speaker, I will punch this lady who is making noise to me. Don't make noise here. Eh?
Honorable Passaris.
What are you doing?
Honorable Passaris.
I can punch you.
Honorable Passaris.
What are you doing here? What are you here?
Honorable Passaris. Honorable Passaris. Honorable Passaris.
Why are you abusing me? For what purpose? For what purpose? For what purpose? What the purpose? You are becoming unruly.
You can't threaten unruly. You can't threaten.
Stupid.
You can't threaten somebody.
Why is she?
You can't threaten another woman to hit another woman.
Honorable Passaris. Honorable Passaris. Honorable Passaris. Honorable Passaris. If you are, I will not allow disorder. Get away from me. Get away from me. I've not called you. I'm calling you to stop grimacing at members. Can you go back there? Order. I'm on the floor.
I must.
Yeah. 107, yes. Yes. The penalty. Huh? Order, members. Order, take your seats. Take your seats. I can see we are soon going to get to good business. Honor members, standing order number 107, subsection 1, reads as follows. A member commits an act of disorderly conduct if the member, A, creates actual disorder, knowingly raises a false point of order, unnecessarily interrupts proceedings or consults in a disruptive manner, fails to record abstention in a division, fails to declare personal interest in a matter before the House or a committee in accordance with Standing Order number 90, deliberately gives false information to the House, makes allegations without, in the Speaker's opinion, adequate substantiation, threatens to use violence against a member or other person in the House or committee, votes more than once in breach of these standing orders, commits any other breach of these standing orders that, in the opinion of the Speaker, constitutes disorderly conduct. 2, the Speaker may call a member whose conduct is disorderly to order, and A, caution the member, or B, order the member to withdraw from the precincts of the Assembly for a maximum of 4 days. That is in the first instance. Honourable members, as you know, it's only fair that the House conducts itself in a manner that is dignified. When I call out a member to caution them that the behavior they are about to engage in is disorderly, I'm merely warning that any persistence in that conduct may result in the action being taken against that member, which will include, in the first instance, the suspension from the precincts of Parliament for 4 days. So, honourable members, I think we're almost at the tail end of this session. I hope none of us, none of you, wants us to end the session in a situation where a member is either going to be suspended or to be forcibly ejected out of the House, whose consequences are graver than this. And when I see the Sergeant-at-Arms staff come to cool you or to calm you, remember, if they touch you, and I want you to really just read these standing orders. If they touch you a bit, if I tell them to touch you, you will be out of this chamber, the precincts, not just the chamber, the precincts of Parliament, including your offices in Continental House, for a very long time. Please, let us not get to that. Or would like is provided to them in the most convenient way. And to ensure, inter alia, that the mace is at all times guarded. So, if you are not happy about a member's contribution, please don't shout at them. Don't shout at them. If you like, I will give you an opportunity to say something. The Honorable Wanga claimed that when she rises and calls for the mover to be called upon to reply, the Speaker must. Please just read Standing Order 95 fully. So you can't keep shouting at your place for whatever reason. You may be very, very angry even with the decision of the Speaker. But you know, if you feel that angry, just take a walk, go and have a cup of tea. Yeah? You will relax. I'm sure you will cool down. There's a lot of water even. Yeah? So just, you cannot behave as if we are conducting public rallies in the House. In as much as I know you do out there. But when you're here, let's have some dignity. So if you don't like, please wait for your chance. Your turn will come, and you will contribute. Remember, there's nothing. Even this report will be decided upon by yourselves. So what is the hurry? What is the deal? Why do you want the Honorable Rosa Buyu? I'm happy now you're taking water, yes. And you have cooled down. Yeah? Yeah, it's good, yes. This is good. So Honorable Rosa Buyu, Honorable Masara, Honorable Esa Passaris, Honorable Wanga, I do not want to have to call you to order again. Please. Your chance is going to come. You will say what you want to say, provided you say it within the limits of the standing orders. So let's just relax. I don't know what it is you may have taken over lunch, but it may be harassing you, but just relax. If you can't, go and seek medical attention. So I don't want to have to read to members Standing Order 107 again, or indeed 107A. I'm doing this because I realize that, I've read it because I realize that all of us just make references to the standing orders without regard to what indeed they say. I do not have to read it again and allow the business to be transacted. In a short while, you make a decision. So let's proceed. Honorable Barasa, you are on your feet.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want again to reiterate my position that I support this report. This is a fair report. It was done in a very professional manner, Honorable Speaker. the findings of this report reflect the true picture of what happened, Honorable Speaker. And this is one of the committees that is chaired by the chairman, who's been a person of high standing in legal fraternity, somebody who understands the law, and that this House, we should not behave in a manner that seems to appease our various political formations, Honorable Speaker, but we must debate soberly within the principles of the law, and we should be guided by the facts that were presented before the committee, Honorable Speaker, because, Honorable Speaker, it's very important that the files that are being held in the office of the Clerk of National Assembly must not be made in a way that anybody can just access them to further their own personal interest, Honorable Speaker. This is a report that I've gone through the findings and the recommendations. They are very fair, Honorable Speaker. While the Act gives the powers of this committee, Honorable Speaker, to order a member to vacate his or her seat, but this committee has just recommended that the honorable member to be reprimanded. This is a very fair recommendation, Honorable Speaker. And I want to ask my friends, the members of this House, that let us debate issues with our brains, not with our energy. It is not that every time when you have a disagreement, Honorable Speaker, that we want to sort out your differences by blows, by abuses, Honorable Speaker, but we should restrict ourselves to the facts that are contained in this report, Honorable Speaker. For these very few remarks, I say I support this report. It represents the facts the way they are, Honorable Speaker. And the person whom we were also investigating, Honorable Speaker, appeared before this committee, and indeed she confirmed that she went to Nur, and she, very many times, she coerced that parliamentary staff, she was given the documents, she leaked the documents to the media. This is a fact, Honorable Speaker. And I want to urge my friends in this House to support this report. Today we are looking at this report, Honorable Speaker, but tomorrow we will have another member who will also using unscrupulous means to get documents or reports that will affect each one of us, Honorable Speaker, to get them into the media, Honorable Speaker. What we are doing as a House is not just, we are not just punishing Honorable Fatuma Gedi, but we are sending a warning that nobody has the powers to coerce a parliamentary staff to get access to documents that is not entitled to, Honorable Speaker, and this will also prevent further occurrence of this particular act, Honorable Speaker. So for this very few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Member for Funyula.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. I've had an opportunity to go through the report. Yes, a lot is contained in that report, and knowing the limitations of Parliament, and knowing the limitations that going through the report, since quite a number of allegations have not been verified. While it is abhorrent to leak official documents, but indeed, Honorable Speaker, it is also not fair where we stand to stand in public and debate the conduct of our colleague in public view in front of national media and everything else, knowing that now we have placed a gag on the matter leading to this particular matter. Honorable Speaker.
What's your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, I think as you said, we have our standing orders and we read, but we don't seem to really interpret and understand what the standing orders provide for. Because what we are debating, Honorable Speaker, is a report by a committee of this House. And the House has every right to debate and consider reports tabled before this House. Therefore, I don't think the Honorable Member for Funyula is in order to be misleading Kenyans who are watching us, Honorable Speaker, that we are here debating the conduct of a member. We are debating the content of a report that is rightly before this House, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, you should not mislead the House, Honorable Speaker, that we have no business to debate the conduct. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, let me not get into debate. I hope I'll get an opportunity to do that, Honorable Speaker. But the House has the right to debate even the conduct of a member should a substantive motion be brought. And what is before the House is a motion. I know the member for Funyula is having his first term, but it's good to appraise himself of what happens in the House.
You know, I can see now the Honorable Passaris, maybe you want to disagree, but you know it is not done that way. Let me also make it absolutely clear to all of you that the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya obligates all of us, among other things, and except in exceptional circumstances, Parliament is obligated to conduct its affairs in the open, in a transparent manner. And this House is at liberty to discuss or debate the conduct of anybody, including the conduct of the President, including the conduct of the Speaker. Yeah? It will not be discussed in camera. Maybe the honorable member for Funyula may have forgotten. He may have forgotten that this House has an occasion to discuss motions of this nature here in the open. In fact, and as resolved, it was just during this Parliament that the two members, the member for Embakasi East and the member for Stare, the report about the complaint launched against them was brought to this House. It was debated. Was it not about their conduct? Was it not about their conduct? This House reprimanded them. They even went and apologized. Yeah? So we are being selective. How is it? What is this new thinking that has engulfed the House? That when it comes to discussing, remember, Honorable Odo, you, as a member of this House, can bring a motion to impeach the President. Would you be suggesting by your argument that that motion should be discussed in somewhere in one of in the dark rooms? It will be discussed and debated here. Isn't it? Remember, if you gag yourself, and I want to just caution the House, you gag yourself today, then you must gag yourself forever. Because those impeachment motions will be about conduct. So to argue, you might as well then repeal the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act and also repeal the Leadership and Integrity Act. Indeed, go ahead and repeal Article 75, 76, and 77 of the Constitution. So I think you can oppose, but please don't use because now this is a law. When you misapply it, the Constitution commands us to do all our business in the open. Now, if you suggest, Honorable Undo, that we should retreat into camera because this matter is weighty, according to you, or I don't know, whatever, then you could suggest and move a motion to that effect. The House can, in exceptional circumstances, resolve to hear a matter in camera. So, Honorable Undo, just proceed, but please be informed.
Okay, Honorable Speaker, well guided. I made a reference, first of all, on 2 points or two issues, Honorable Speaker. One, we are honorable members, and we are colleagues. We are colleagues, and being colleagues, we have a moral duty to protect the good name of our fellow colleagues. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, yes, it's true, we'll debate
the report that is before the House. But behind the mind of all Kenyans who are listening to us, there is a genesis to that matter. And the matter here, Honorable Speaker, is dealing with a lady. Is dealing with a honorable lady. Honorable Speaker, we are dealing with a mother. Honorable Speaker, we are dealing with a respectable lady in society. That's why I want to urge my colleagues. Today, it is Fatuma Gedi. Tomorrow, it will be you and I. As much as there could be credible evidence to suggest that a mistake was committed, an illegality was committed, as Africans, as members of this community called Kenya, there is a better way of dealing with our internal issues. As much as we debate, as much as we want to unmask ourselves, as much as we want to take the time to settle political scores, it is not in order. It's un-African for us to stand and debate the conduct of whatever it is in this kind of a manner. Honorable Speaker, for that reason, I stand to oppose the report and request my fellow colleagues that whatever has been done is enough punishment for any mistake the honorable member had committed. I seek that all members, we do oppose this report and put this matter to rest. Leave it where it is. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I want us to know, what is it that we are debating? What is the issue? Leakage of official communication. I think I would ask you to look at all the observations, testimonies that have been given. Is there the issue is whether there is leakage or no leakage. Was there any leakage? Yes. Was there leakage? Yes. There was no leakage. According to some there was no leakage according to some. You see, this is a problem, and we have said it severally in this House. We have said it severally in this House. The Honorable Passaris, you appear to be burning with something. Say it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the era of increased gender-based violence, when a member actually threatens to punch another member, and especially a woman in the House, and some of the things that you didn't hear were the insults that he was levying. Even I can't repeat the insults, but I won't go there. Let me tell you about the report, Mr. Speaker. I've read the report. It is true that Honorable Gedi appeared before the committee. It is true that she stated very clearly, she did not lie, she held herself with integrity, and she said, yes, I did acquire that, the said documentation, but she did not say that she leaked the document. She actually said she never leaked that document. So when Honorable Didmus here stands up and misleads the entire country and puts it on the Hansard that Honorable Gedi admitted into the committee that she leaked the document, that is misleading the House. We know that this has got nothing to do with the document. This is just a war, the wars that we have outside Parliament being brought into the House. Honorable Gedi, I know you don't want us to discuss the investigation material, but all this is related. This is a score trying to be settled between the two fractions that exist in the country. We want handshake, we want BBI, we do not want to be divided in the House. We do not want to be divided in the House. Conduct themselves with decorum. Mr. Speaker, if it's going to be debated, let it be debated with accuracy. Honorable Gedi, with her integrity, did not go into the House and deny that she asked for that document and she got it. She was obviously going through a lot of stressful and emotional period. She was being defamed by people who used a video from online and defamed her in front of her family, in front of society, in front of her electorate. So when she asked for that document, she did not deny. When she was asked, did you leak the document? She clearly stated to that committee, no, I did not. So the fact is, Honorable Didmus is standing here, besides wanting to beat me, and I challenge you with your, I'm sure
Honorable Passaris.
No, I mean,
I've just read to you, standing under 107. And you know, maybe you have not, it has not been applied to you. It's just about to. Don't be personal. No, proceed, continue with what you are. But don't, that thing of turning around and don't be personal.
Mr. Speaker, I'm a woman. Women are emotional beings, and that's why we have empathy.
You are in the wrong place. Don't bring emotions here.
Mr. Speaker, because I am so emotional, can I donate my remaining meetings to Honorable Malala? Can I?
Proceed. But
Mr. Speaker, I stand to oppose. And if you allow me, I'd like to donate to anyone in this front row.
You have no authority. There's nothing to donate. You see, now, that is the kind of thing that I told you. Read your standing orders. You start telling us you are donating. Donating what? Suddenly what you want to donate is not here. Donate elsewhere. Suddenly not in the chamber. Stop the donations. Stop the donations. With this. Sorry. Member for Kinangop.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity, and I must thank you for taking charge of the House today. In fact, if it was some of us would be allocating their address, PO box, wherever they live, because of the disorder. But nevertheless, I want to support this report based on the fact that the Privileges and Powers and Privileges Committee sat, and they did what they are supposed to do as a committee. They gave us findings, and they listened to all the witnesses. And indeed, there was an admission by one Honorable Fatuma Gedi that she indeed got that letter from our parliamentary staff. That is enough reason to guarantee and to really invoke Section 17 of Powers and Privileges Act. And indeed, this committee is even mild, because I can see from the Act, there were other remedies, there were other penalties that should have been conferred upon her. But they only chose to reprimand her. They would have chosen to expel her from the House. They would have chosen all the other options, but they chose one, to reprimand her, so that then we can maintain the dignity of this House. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, I wish to support this report and say congratulations to the committee for coming up with such a balanced report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Professor Oduor, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak on this important report. Mr. Speaker, on the outset, I would like us as members, indeed, as we look at the very significant duty, and indeed the report, Mr. Speaker, which I have also had a chance to look at, to indicate that it is our duty as members in regard to the context of what is put before us, specifically the need to look into the leakage that we see from the report would be assigned to Honorable Gedi. Mr. Speaker, when I look at page 52 of the report, it indicates that from the committee's consideration of witnesses and indeed their effort to come to a conclusion, Mr. Speaker, they say, and I read, that in view of the foregoing, the leakage may therefore have happened immediately after the exchange of the letter between Mr. Noor and Honorable Gedi. Mr. Speaker, I read this because it is a context where indeed, when we are looking first and foremost, the premise of what it is that we would be using to confirm the misconduct is one that is not conclusively, Mr. Speaker, in the committee's own submission presented. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is extremely important that we remember that there are contexts where we can infer from facts. Mr. Speaker, I would like to urge the House to consider the distinction that exists between fact and truth. Mr. Speaker, facts are what it is that you can evidence. And when I look, Mr. Speaker, at the report, I can see that there are facts. There are facts of those who walked into the room. Mr. Speaker, there are facts of those who were asked questions. Mr. Speaker, the truth, in a way, is extremely important, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank you because indeed, as you guided us in terms of dealing with this matter, you helped us to ensure that we do not in any way begin to look at facts that might not necessarily be relevant. But, Mr. Speaker, it is on the very same premise that as I speak on this, Mr. Speaker, because I feel that it is extremely important for us as a House to conduct ourselves, particularly on a matter where we would want to ensure that we are acting in a way that is becoming of the House, that we see that truth can indeed be in accordance with facts, but truth really needs to have authenticity. That, Mr. Speaker, the truth is something which depends on a person's perspective and depends on a person's experience. And, Mr. Speaker, I keep going back to the committee because I have absolutely no basis or reference. And, Mr. Speaker, by the own committee's submission, where they are making inferences, because there isn't any evidence that says that this indeed is what the Honorable Gedi actually admitted to doing, or this is what happened, I would like, Mr. Speaker, that we do then, in this context, consider that it is extremely important that as we then choose to make a determination, that we would want to remember that there would be cases or instances where we ourselves, when we are called upon, indeed to then confirm what it is that informed, we will be hard placed, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as I make this submission, I want, Mr. Speaker, for you to allow me the indulgence, because, Mr. Speaker, there is a sense in which when we also talk about a context, we must, in a way, see that meaning does not exist in isolation. And, Mr. Speaker, we are looking at this in a context where I know that I didn't get a chance, Mr. Speaker, to raise a point of order, but the Honorable Didmus, who, Mr. Speaker, as the time that he was making his own submission, Mr. Speaker, seemed in his own approach to be reflecting what might also be seen to be some fact in our country, in Kenya, that when you are of the female gender and when you are a leader, there is a way that it is a fact that your gender could be seen, not to be seen, to be given the same level of respect or the same level of recognition. But the truth, Mr. Speaker, is that whether you are male or female, Mr. Speaker, if you are somebody who is in leadership, then you are called upon and others are called upon to ensure that their perspective and the manner that they look at the issue is one that would be seen to be above board and would be seen not in any way to be interfered with or influenced. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, my request to the House would be that we have before us a report, and I would plead with the House that we seek to look at the matter that we were talking about, which was the question of leakage. And, Mr. Speaker, when we look at the report itself, we do not see the committee indeed confirming and letting us know that this actually happened. We see, Mr. Speaker, on the contrary, a manner in which the Speaker is making inference. And it is, Mr. Speaker, for this reason that as I look at this report, and indeed with the serious consideration, but most importantly, Mr. Speaker, that we cannot avoid the fact that the Honorable Gedi is of the female gender. We cannot ignore the fact that there is a sense in which this is sometimes used in ways that does not favorably allow, and, Mr. Speaker, in itself can be seen to be an abuse of sorts that can be extended. So, Mr. Speaker, with this, I'd like to urge the House that as much as we see that there indeed were witnesses and there was indeed a case of behavior that was not acceptable, that I do not feel, Mr. Speaker, that the report of the committee and the submission that they make is conclusive enough and warrants that we then meet out the case of the abuse that is presented. So with this, Mr. Speaker, I do not support the report, and I urge the House to remember that we must separate fact from truth, and we must, Mr. Speaker, rise above experiences, perspectives, because this can usually be influenced by circumstances other than what we have before us. Mr. Speaker, with this, I'd like to say I do not support and urge members of the House that we rise above any issues of personalizing and remain honorable in our House. And Mr. Speaker, just before I resume my seat, Mr. Speaker, I have an occasion, Mr. Speaker, to look at the standing orders, Mr. Speaker, the very standing orders 107, Mr. Speaker, that you referred to earlier. And Mr. Speaker, I know you're aware that I got a chance to go to Beijing, and Mr. Speaker, next year we are going to be celebrating 25 years of having all, not only after hosting Nairobi in 1985, but convening in Beijing to name and reject any levels of abuse or violation. Mr. Speaker, in a context where we are in ourselves as a House looking at what we would see to be acts of gross misconduct, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to draw your attention because, Mr. Speaker, I got the impression that you might not have caught it, that the Honorable Didmus Barasa be called upon, Mr. Speaker, to retract and withdraw the comments that he made, which were unparliamentary, because, Mr. Speaker, in the House we do not have a lady, and Mr. Speaker, there is no way, when I look at the standing orders, that any other member is expected to act in a way that looks like they are showing violence to another one. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg your indulgence and draw your attention that we do, as an honorary House, require and expect through you, Mr. Speaker, that the Honorable Didmus Barasa, his utterances, Mr. Speaker, as I look to Standing Order 107, he made utterances that were unparliamentary because, Mr. Speaker, he referred to a lady, and Mr. Speaker, from what I heard, and maybe the Hansard could be a good basis of helping to confirm, he actually threatened, indeed, to handle the lady. And Mr. Speaker, I would beg that through you, your indulgence, he could retract this, because this in itself, Mr. Speaker, is really unacceptable. 25 years after Beijing, in an honorary House that is in itself discussing issues of misconduct. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Did you say he said he will handle? What? Punch.
He was actually going to punch the lady. And Mr. Speaker, there is no lady, and if there was, in our House, Mr. Speaker, we cannot be violent or threaten to be. Thank you.
You know, now you do it. Did you, Honorable Barasa, the Honorable Professor says that you threatened to punch?
No, Honorable, it's Honorable Gladys and Honorable Rosa Buyu wanted to, who are attempting to punch me. I didn't punch her. I can't punch Esther Passaris here. No. I didn't say I want to punch Esther Passaris. I can't punch Esther Passaris, Honorable Speaker. If I didn't beat Honorable Simba right, how can I punch Esther Passaris? It's not possible. It's not possible.
Let me just... What? Sorry, that's Honorable Bukose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to support the committee report. Honorable Speaker, when you go to page 52 of this document, on E, it says Mr. Noor in his testimony stated that he gave a copy of the letter to Honorable Fatuma Kedi late in the evening on Friday at around 4 p.m., but soon thereafter, he learned that a copy of the letter he had given to her, to Honorable Fatuma Kedi, was being circulated in the social media. To me, Honorable Speaker, and it also goes down to say even the memo was being circulated in the social media. Honorable Speaker, to me, it's a question of how the documents were handled. Sensitive documents that concerns all of us. To me, I'm looking at the moral issue on how the documents that concern honorable members are being carded within the various precincts of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, if this Privileges Committee is not supported in its report, then what it means is that we will be exposing every member that anything that you've done, anything that you filed, anything, even your medical report, it can be shared and put into the social media. To me, Honorable Speaker, if it was immediately after the document was given, when you look at the submission of Honorable Fatuma Kedi, it says that she got the document from Noor. After getting the document from Noor, she went to the lounge, and in the lounge, she just left the document there. To me, it's a lame excuse. It's not the truth. It's a careless handling of sensitive information, which was concerning her. So the committee sitting down and saying we are reprimanding the member, to me, it's a very fair position. It protects the integrity of the member, and I think it is very wrong that we start diverting issues concerning the member to start discussing her. I think we should just discuss on the document, handling of that document, and we leave it at that level. So with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Member for Uriri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to record my voice on this issue. I have gone through the report. I have seen the member in question, Honorable Fatuma Kedi, admits to have received the document. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to challenge the committee because we might be missing something. That a parliamentary staff would issue to a member a sensitive document on the street or in the corridors like that. And what I'm asking is, if the parliamentary staff did give this member this copy of the letter, why are we thinking that this letter was not given to someone else? And for that reason, to try and say that it is a member because she was given, because Honorable Fatuma Kedi is a honorable member of this House, but not a staff of Parliament. That if she went with a document and probably someone else picked it from there, it is not her responsibility. So I think really that this House or the committee to crucify the member just because she was handed a document and the document found itself on social media. I also want to ask, does the committee on privileges, on parliamentary privileges, have the capacity to determine that it is Fatuma Kedi who shared this document on social media? Because I don't think we went into that length. We should then even further the investigation to find out which was the original phone, the IP address where this document originated from, then it was circulated. To say that today if I picked a document on a table here and the next minute is on the social media, it is me who has shared it, would be really wrong. So, Mr. Speaker, I rise to completely oppose this on the strength that it is not the member, and Mr. Speaker, even if it were me, in the circumstances that I don't want to discuss, in as much as you've gagged us, but the report in itself alludes to some of the issues that you don't want us to speak about here. Any member in such a position would be seeking every available opportunity to get any information. Even if I was told that that information is at Central Bank, I would want to seek, because that the issue and the allegations that led to this, even these memos flying back and forth, were very serious. Touching on family, I don't want to get into the issue. But even if it were me or you, Mr. Speaker, and you are told that that information is in heaven, you would want to go to church so that you get to heaven to get that information. Just to appraise yourself what the issues then are, and to say that she is the one who leaked it to the media, social media or otherwise, I don't think the committee has the capacity to determine that it was her. So I actually rise and I urge my colleagues that let us reject this report and oppose it completely. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, I think you may have seen me recently in the media at a workshop with the members of the Powers and Privileges Committee, at which I made the proposition. And I want to challenge my very good friend, the Honorable Peter Kaluma, to take this on up. When we passed the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act in 2017, you provided that the chairman or chairperson, as the case may be, of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Committee of each house shall be the speaker, the respective speakers. You have heard me recently say that I find that a bit of a challenge. Honorable Peter Kaluma, I know in this area you are very good. Please take up this challenge. Propose an amendment where, like in other jurisdictions, the speaker's roles will be to preside in the plenary here. If the speakers have to have any role, it should only be limited to, and I want to say this, providing information, to helping to select in consultation with the leadership members from either side who are equal number, who then will be able to elect their chair. I've made that proposal, that comment, because I think it is not fair. You see, now, because the Honorable Wanga put the stood in a place and claimed that the mover be called upon to reply, I could very well see. I have had many years in politics. I could very well see that there is something that is some spirit. Yes? But you see, I cannot get involved in the debate. I could not get involved in this in the debate. So I intend now, because as your speaker, I find myself in a very, very awkward situation, especially when I hear people say we don't think that the committee has capacity. Now, the committee received evidence. You see, even when a person is taken to court and they plead not guilty, that's not to say now that they pleaded not guilty, they are therefore innocent. Eh? And then when I know the sequence of events, Honorable Shamala, that on the 21st, on Thursday, 21st of February this year, a letter was delivered in the office of the clerk of the National Assembly purporting to summon 4 members of parliament to appear before the DCI. The clerk of the National Assembly sought opinion from the Directorate of Litigation, who advised him that the matters complained in these summons are of a criminal nature and you have no business helping the DCI to investigate. And that information is then given, the correspondence is handed over, and it's somehow intercepted along the way. And in less than 1 hour, it is in social media. Then, of course, as happens with many politicians, things start moving. The others start calling the DCI. Is it true that you are summoning us? Now you know you are putting me in a very awkward situation. I wish I was in the other life, because it will not be difficult. And the Honorable Nyamita will not have found it difficult to believe that we have capacity to assess evidence, assess veracity, and even determine who among the protagonists has told us the truth, or that which is nearly capable of belief. What are the circumstances that lead us to a particular conclusion? So you see, you put me in a very awkward position, and that's why I'm appealing to my good friend, the Honorable Peter Kaluma. Please, this act, don't put the speaker in this kind of situation. Because you are putting me in the debate now, because I appear like I have all the evidence, all the things that appear to be bothering you if I were to participate in the debate. And I gave you the chronology, because I will then tell you what happened on the 22nd, which was a Friday. No, the letter is 21st. The next event is 22nd. On 23rd, remember, we see the next to Honorable Patuma Gedi called some senior DCI officer, inquiring whether is it true that you are looking for me. Now, you see, now when I know all this, because I sat in the committee, isn't it wrong, Honorable Kaluma, for me to say, now I have all this information, but I'm therefore conflicted. You make me conflicted because of the provisions of the law you passed. Because I have all this information which you don't have. Even those who have claimed here to have read the report have not even gone to the various observations, which are in excess of 20. You know, when some of you claim I've read the report, and then you proceed to make, surely. So that's why I'm saying, and that's why I said recently, the members of this committee who are present, the Honorable Mwadi, the Honorable Tuwei, they know that I said no. The Honorable Koyo, I said, I think this law is not proper. It isn't. To have the speaker to chair a committee that is quasi-judicial in nature, because this committee is given that kind of responsibility. It puts the speaker in a very, very awkward situation. Honorable Undu. It's very Undu. It's very bad, because I shouldn't be the one in possession of this information. But now I have this information, but I cannot participate. So the best thing for me to do at this point, to avoid listening to, you saying things which are not in the report, because you are saying things which are not in the report, because I can see you have not read the report, but some haven't read, surely. But and that's why I said, if you know the reason why this committee decided no, Director of Criminal Investigation, you remember even it was reported, this committee castigating the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and the director himself, that why have you taken so long to investigate this matter? Because you have caused a lot of unnecessary suffering. And indeed, I can understand the feelings of many of you that spoke with that spirit, which I refer to, because I can understand. And the members of the committee are fully seized of these things and agonized. But you see, the best thing is for me to put the question. Now that I have, the Honorable Rosa Boyu, because you are new, I don't know, please, I want to encourage you to thoroughly understand the standing orders. Please, the only thing for me to do, so that we can see, so that the spirit can work. Yeah? So that the spirit can work, is to put the question which is the mover be called upon to reply. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I don't envy your position, but it's good the way you have put it, that you are in a catch-22, where you have to preside over the committee as the chair, and as well as preside over the House. But suffice it to say, Honorable Speaker, that I want to thank all members who have contributed, notwithstanding the pressure that is there. But let me start by stating the following as I reply. One, honorable members, it's a fact that some document was leaked like we have observed. It's a fact that a staffer has already owned up that that document was leaked. It's a fact that one of us also accepted receiving that document. Up to there, those are all facts. How it was handled thereafter, including her saying she left it at the members' lounge, I don't know, but it leaked in the next 1 hour after that. But let us pose ourselves this question. Honorable members, is it okay that we shall allow, suppose we even didn't reprimand the staffer, is it okay that we shall allow staff to give our documents out anyhowly? We have documents that talk about your emoluments. We have documents that have your own medical records. You have documents that we are holding that says how much you are worth, declaration of your wealth. Is it okay that this document should leak out? I think those are the hard questions that we should ask ourselves. But at the same time, ask ourselves, do we want to conduct ourselves in the manner that we have seen the issue being handled? Would you want also to leak documents pertaining to the issues of your colleague? I think my answer is no. As to whether there are African ways of solving this issue, probably there is, but it is not legislated. But we are using what we have, which is the Powers and Privileges Act, which gives us the mandate. And therefore, using that Powers and Privilege Act is the one that gives us the strength and mandate to sort out the issues as they come. There are actually, members, worse penalties. There are worse penalties. We have 8 different penalties, but we settle to a lesser one just so that it becomes a deterrent to us and to the staff. That is what we are saying. And I want to say that even as the question is being put, persuade ourselves that we need to tell ourselves, each one of us, that we don't need to go that way. How then don't you go that way? Is to adopt the report. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, sir, I beg to reply. Asante. Where?
Very well, very well. Take your seats, take your seats. How can a member be moving like that? Well, in keeping with the spirit, isn't it? Honourable members, I put the question that this House adopts a report of the Committee of Powers and Privileges on the inquiry into the alleged leakage and misuse of official information contrary to the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, November 20th, 2019, and pursuant to provisions of Section 17, Subsection 3, Paragraph B of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017, resolves to reprimand the Honourable Fatuma Gedi for conducting herself in a manner that reflected adversely on the dignity and integrity of the National Assembly and its members, and is contrary to the best interests of the National Assembly and its members, in contravention of Section 16, Paragraph E of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. As many as contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it.